Welcome to the Learning and Development Channel, where you can learn, lead, and make a difference.
It's my pleasure to speak virtually before you today on a very important topic, which is on the utilization of data on learning outcomes to design interventions. Uh, uh, I will now proceed to the review on action research. Like for example, for you school heads, diba, there are times that you make speeches, no? Mas mabuti din na ang mga speeches niyo, some of your statements there would come from published articles, no? At saan ka kukuha ng mga ideas na nakapublish? Doon sa Google Scholar. Hmm. So if for example, I think November 27 will be the portfolio day. Oh. So sa speech mo bilang school head, i-emphasize mo ano ba ang kahalagahan ng portfolio at anong sinasabi ng mga researchers on the use of portfolio or portfolio assessment. See? So gagamitin mo si Google Scholar or si Eric para mahanap kung ano yung sinasabi ng mga researchers on the effectiveness, ano ang impact ng portfolio on students' learning outcomes. So that would be a great that would be a great statement coming from a school head which is research based. Importante naman talaga ngayon mga research based kasi like ang vaccine, hindi naman tayo magpapaturok ng vaccine pag walang mga results from studies. So in terms of educational affairs, our actions as school heads, our actions as teachers should be based on research. Like, bakit kailangan natin silang pa-explore sa labas, sa garden, pumulot ng iba't ibang uri ng bato? Because that's self-discovery. Ano yan? Proven yan by research that children learn best if they manipulate the objects. If they construct their own learning through their experiences. All right, sige. So much for that. So I can start with action research. But before we do that, let's have a short health break.
Sir,
Okay, salamat. So now I'm going to walk you through designing an action research, and we'll do it as briefly as possible, no? Anyway, this is I titled this as a review, although for some this will not be a review but their first exposure, no? So basically when we say action research, you do the research because you want to implement an action, no? And that action is your intervention. And that intervention is based on, rather, the problem that you want to solve in an action research is based on available data. Di ba kahapon, pina-workshop kayo ni Sir Jonas on academic achievement data, non-academic data, performance data, and types of data. But note, dear school heads, that as what I have emphasized also earlier, data are not only quantitative, no? So yung mga MPS, number of frustration readers, number of non-numerates, they are data, of course, but they are quantitative data. But there is another type of data which we call qualitative data. So ano nito yung mga qualitative data? Data coming from interviews, from observations, from focus group discussions, from data from checklists. No? So those are data sources. And well, sa checklist, pwede siyang quali, pwedeng quanti. No? But data from interviews, data from FGDs, they are qualitative data. Huh? So, the first few slides are actually definitions of action research. No? Well, why is action research important? It helps teachers and school heads like you to uncover strategies to improve teaching practices. Huh? Diba expectedly kung school head ka, magaling ka ring magturo. Ano? Kasi I remember my elementary principal, kung absent ang teacher, ang principal ang nagti-take over. No? Oh. So expectedly, the school head or the principal should also be an excellent teacher, no? And not just an excellent administrator or manager or leader. No? So as school heads, you have to help your teachers improve teaching practices. No? Because as a school head, alam mo, you see the school at a macro level. No? Di ba? Di ba Sir Edwin, Ma'am Ditas, Ma'am Jocelyn?
Yes, sir.
Oo, kung school leader ka, alam mo kung anong nangyayari sa paaralan, no? Alam mo kung nag-i-improve sila sa reading, kung bumabagsak sila sa math tests. Alam mo 'yon kasi you hold the data, you keep the data. The data are deposited in your office, na? Ang mga teachers lahat sinasubmit nila sa iyo. So alam mo kung anong sitwasyon ng paaralan. Kaya nga kahapon pina-SWOT analysis kayo ni Sir Jonas, no? So ultimately, school heads like you are expected to help your teachers improve their teaching practices, which implies that school heads like you should know how to do research. Kasi kung hindi mo nga, at least ngayon, alam mo na ang Google Scholar and ERIC, so pwedeng ma-share mo na in one of your LAC sessions, Learning Action Cells sessions, sabihin mo, I would like to share with you how to do literature search in Google Scholar and ERIC. This is what I've learned from Sir Gerald in our online training. You see? So, at least merong magiging effect or impact ng training na to on not only on yourselves as school heads, but to your teachers as well. No? Kasi I know na although maraming mga teachers ang nagma-masters na, nagdo-doctorate, pero mayroon din mga there are areas that they still don't know or they have not been exposed to. No? That's why as school heads, if you attend trainings like this, you're expected to pay attention. No? Because you cannot give to your teachers what you don't have. No? That's why I would really encourage all of you to really profit out of this training, not financial, but the ability to mentor your teachers when you meet them again in school. No? Okay. So, an action research will provide a framework so that teachers will understand why, when, and how students become better learner. Ang ano natin especially sa elementary and high school. Kasi we are producing literates and numerates. No? Not much sa college kasi our focus is to produce professionals. So kung ang pinoproduce namin ay professionals, then dapat meron siya solid foundation in math and in reading, writing, arithmetic. No? And that if the problems that they have encountered in the lower years, in the primary or in the elementary and secondary years, were not remedied, so nadadala sa college and they become unfit to enter universities. That is why DepEd has intensified the campaign, or the DepEd has urged all teachers to do an action research. And hindi lang siya up to proposal stage lang. It should be up to implementation, completion, and even publication and presentation of the paper. Okay. So it is conducted by individuals or groups. Kanina may tanong kung, sir, ilan ba yung dapat members ng isang action research team? No? So depende yan sa inyo. No? 2, 3, or well, it depends. No? Pwedeng isa lang. No? Kasi sir, yung problem ng aking learners is only, this is very unique to my class. Sa ibang sections, wala silang problem na ganito sa ibang grade level. So you can actually do the action research by yourself. No? Of course, in action research, the results are limited in generalizability, meaning kung ano yung findings ng study mo sa classroom mo, it cannot be generalized to other sections, to other grade levels, to other schools. Kasi limited siya in the sense that you have a limited number of respondents or participants. Ma'am Loida is asking, pwede po ba 4 researchers? Yes, pwede. Pwede. Ang problema lang kung masyado ng maraming researchers, ang iba hindi na tumutulong. Kuan nala, samok misay. Nagina mga observer, no? At least if you're only 2 or 3, you will really do your best na matapos yan kasi wala kayong ibang inaasahan. Pero kung usually kung marami kayo, most likely tawag ito binisaya, I forgot the term.
Turinay, sir. Nagtuturin-turinay.
Yon, oo. Nagtuturotoklinay. Baga amo ito amon term, no? Ibang district kasi po yung iba. Pwede din. Yung research, yung action research team nyo, pwede ang ibang teachers coming from other districts. That's okay. No? 2 districts po sa isang research. That's pretty well and good. Sige, we move on. So action research is a reflective process. You explore and examine aspects of teaching and learning. Yes, especially yung mga threats to their learning. Anong mga threats? Example, always late. So ano man mo intervention and always late? Especially high school, pwede. Sige, dapat diri ka naman late, hining nga bugos nga semana so that I can give you a 30 peso load. So that's an intervention, no? And of course, you have to measure the impact of the intervention. So igno-note mo nga Lunes nga Biyernes na late ba hiya and week 1, how about week 2? Week 3, week 4, and so on. And then you examine that trend. So di rin na talaga yan nalilate. So meaning effective and the giving of the load. So that's exploring and examining aspects to change and improve behavior. Yes, it begins with a question or questions about classroom experiences, issues, or challenges. Correct. Sir, what if we don't have data? Like, sir, what man ako nakikita sir nga problem, no? Anyway, here at akong mga learners, adi man ako sir ha central school, example lang I'm in a central school, section 1 it akon mga students. Baga wala man problema, upay man nila mambasa, blah blah blah. But actually, you may not just know that there are problems which have to be discovered. And one way to discover the problem is to do an interview, an FGD, Sige daw, you may interview them. Well, mag-upay era performance sa math, sa English, blah blah. But are they mentally okay? Are they emotionally well? Bangin ang era problem is emotion or mental well-being, What era problema ha academics, pero ada problema ha love, ada problema ha time management, Okay. So you can actually explore those aspects. There are problems, but sometimes we refuse to see the problem. Yeah, that's right. Parang we just ignore, especially in the busyness of the day, di ba? Na-ignore mo lang na mayroon palang bata na masyadong tahimik pero may suicidal ideations na pala siya, Kasi siya, exploited siya at home, harmed, or what? Physically abused, etc. Okay, action research aims to reduce deficits in teaching. Correct. That's basically one of the purposes of action research. Of course, to develop more motivating and effective educational practices. So what are the characteristics of a good action research problem? Dapat important, So absenteeism, tardiness, these are important issues. So they really need attention and that they should be considered as potential problems for an action research. Complex, multiple causes, like yung yung hindi pagsasubmit ng modules on time. You can do a qualitative study, Alamin mo, do a root cause analysis. Bakit hindi siya nakakasubmit? Wala bang ilaw sa bahay nila? Wala ba siyang nung tawag doon anong tawag doon sa adult na at least tutulong sa bata?
Learning facilitator, sir.
Learning facilitator. Mayroon pang isang term, yung parang
Para teacher?
Parang a learned individual who will help like the parent or the elder sibling,
Para teacher, sir? Para teacher?
Para teacher. Wala man kita may ba kita mga para teacher sa DepEd ngayon? Parang wala, di ba?
Learning support aid, sir.
Learning support aid. Well, we can consider the elder siblings, the parents as learning support aid, learning facilitator. Well, anyway, siguro yun ang term na ginagamit, ano? So you can actually do an interview, no? Bakit hindi ka nagsasubmit on time, no? So kasi ang causes may be multiple. And worse if it's recurring, no? Meaning every week the modules are the last are submitted late, no? And of course those that demands action, no? Like nagsasubmit wala nga ni bis usa nga ginansiran, no? Tapos consistent pagod every week na submit module page 1 lang inansiran. Does that demand an action? Of course that needs an investigation. What's wrong with the child? What's wrong with the family, no? So they could be potential action research problems. So what are basic assumptions? Of course, I would like to highlight here that teachers and principals work best on problems they have identified for themselves. Okay, so it's a teacher-principal tandem. No? Teacher and principals help each other by working collaboratively. Correct. No? Kasi ang mga decisions lie sa principal. So itong gusto ng teacher, pag hindi in-approve ng principal, then that there would be an effect on the plan. No? So kasi basically an action research is collaborative. It is participatory. Kailangan may tulong ng teacher, stakeholders, and part of the stakeholders are the parents, community leaders. Types of action research, well, mayroon tayong individual teacher research, mayroong collaborative, may school-wide, may district-wide. So depende na kung anong gusto niyong pwede din school-wide, like it's a prevalent problem across grade levels. Like problem ng frustration readers. So pwedeng i-implement ang intervention not just to grade 4 but to all grade levels. Pero iba-iba, the level of complexity and difficulty of the intervention would just vary. So anong characteristics ng action research? Ang problem is practical, meaning the one which is experienced by the teacher, by the school head. And it addresses a practical problem, no? And that in terms of involvement, the participants are actively involved from the start of the study to the end, no? So yun ang characteristics ng action research. So in contrast to traditional, so these are the characteristics of traditional research. Literature-based siya. So anong kulang sa literature? Yun yung gagawan mo ng pananaliksik. Pero sa action research, hindi mo sasabihin na, kasi sir, wala akong nakitang mga literatures about this, so kailangan kong mag-action research. Hindi yon, traditional research yun or basic research yun. Ang action research is, kasi ito ang na-experience ng mga pupils namin. Pwede bang mag-action research na para tulungan ang teachers? Pwede. No? Because ultimately, ang goal ng action research is to improve practice. So kung ang mga teachers mo may problema, as a school head, gawan mo ng intervention. No? Kung problema nila is hindi na nila makayang i-staple ang mga modules, so perhaps pwede kang mag-hire ng mga tutulong sa pag-staple. No? And find out if your teachers become happier, more motivated, no? For example, before ka nag-hire ng mga additional workers, additional manpower, no? I-measure mo ang kanilang level of motivation and level of perhaps kahit doon lang sa motivation to do work before, then after na magkaroon ka ng additional manpower and you measure. So kung nag-increase yung kanilang level of motivation and like state of happiness, then you would say na the The hiring of additional manpower helps your teachers become more motivated and happier. You see? No? So hindi naman lahat ng action research ay para sa students, no? Pwede din para sa teachers, no? Okay. So this is another comparison anyway. Not deal on this so much, no? So this is the action research cycle. Of course, it starts with planning. So, and what's the practical problem that you want to solve? That's why you identify, you inform, you analyze. And after that, you act. No? So part of acting is trialing, collecting, questioning, no? Collecting data. No? Observe. No, analyzing, reporting, and sharing. Then reflect. No? So in acting, you implement the intervention. No? So part of that is you collect data. Anong nangyari doon sa kanilang numeracy skills when you implemented the intervention? So you did observation. Then you reflected on the findings. No? And then, is there a need to revisit, implement, or evaluate? No? That's why it's a cycle. No? Kasi pag hindi pa nag-work ang intervention, you gather around. There's time that you can establish really its effectiveness. So steps in action research. Identify a problem. That's important. Review literature. Importante din yun. That's why I introduced some online databases to you. Plan a research strategy. No? Part of that is who will be your respondents, what instrument are you use? That's part of the research strategy. No? Where will you collect the data? How and how often? Huh? Then you gather data, collecting data. Now, make sense of the data. What is make sense of data? This was discussed yesterday by Sir Jonas. Making sense of the data is interpreting the data using, you use certain statistical tests, no, to get the findings. And from the findings, what do the numbers tell? No? Diba yung kahapon sa mean as standard deviation? So kahit yung mean ng class na yan is lower than the other class, pero kung yung standard deviation niya is closer to 1, meaning mas nag-perform better siya, no? Kesa sa 95 yung mean ng class na yan, pero yung standard deviation niya ay 2. Diba? Yung isa, 85 lang, pero 1 ang standard deviation, meaning deviation, ang dispersion ng scores, more or less, walang mga extreme scores. Yung bang too high nor too low scores. Huh? So that's how you make sense of the data. Huh? So may nagsabi kanina na participant na mahirap ang action research kasi sa formulate ng statistical formula. But the formulas are already there. You just need assistance from someone who can help you decide which test is the most appropriate to use. But usually, if you just compare means, two means, you use t-test. T-test. I'm sure you have heard about t-test. So make sense of the data. Then take action, meaning implement the intervention. Share your findings. Advantages, wag na lang yan, in the interest of time, advantages. Alam nyo yan ang advantages. Practical and ethical criteria. Of course, a good action research should pursue worthwhile practical purposes. So dapat yung intention mo. You want really to solve problems. Collaborative, participatory. It is responsive and developmental. No? Kaya responsive, the moment the problem is diagnosed or detected, you right away propose an action research. It connects theory and praxis. So you balance action and reflection. No? Promote practical improvements. That's why you implement an intervention so that you can promote certain improvements or reflect improvements. Well, ethical issues, I think alam nyo na yan, na you have to avoid harm to participants, seek consent, no? Consent is needed. In case of children, you need consent from the parents. No? Data has to be handled with sufficient care. That's important. Then the results should be documented throughout, but anonymized and confidential. So kung gagawa ka na ng write-up, huwag mong sabihin na si Peter ay struggling reader, ang score niya ay 1/50. So you have to protect the identity of the participant. So it should remain confidential. That's important ethical issue. Okay. Well, parts of an action research report, depende na yan sa DepEd. No? Kasi I think you have your own format sa action research. No? Well, usually, ito yung mga basic parts sa preliminaries, yon, title page, acknowledgement, abstract. Ito na yung yung finished na action research kasi report na to, no, report na. So of course, you have the introduction. What is the context of your study, no? Meaning ano yung reality sa school nyo, anong reality sa classroom mo. That's the context of your study, no? Brief literature review that should include also significance of the study. Then what is the problem? Kaya later this afternoon in the workshop, you have to insert some relevant data when you establish the research problem. Huh? I'm sure it's not a problem on your part anymore because you have the data. Then you have the research questions, which include the purpose and the specific questions. Then, of course, you have the methodology, your research design, how do you collect the data, your instrument, what are your ethical considerations, your procedure, and how do you analyze the data. So all these things form part of the methodology. Then, of course, you have the results and discussions, conclusions and recommendations, and of course, the action plan. That's very important. Then references or the bibliography, then your appendices. Now, here are examples of published. These are published action research. Okay, before I proceed, there's a question from, I don't know what's the name of Huawei Y9. Nalilito po ako, sir, sa aking research analysis. May supposed proposal about improving reading comprehension through reading remediation, using short reading selection, comparing pre-test and post-test. Magiging basis ko po ang PhilErie pre and post material, pero yung ginawa kong remediation, hindi. Doon sa ginawa mong materials, no? So, mag-pre-test ka, no, na hindi mo pa binigay yung mga selections, and then after the experimental period, meaning yung time na bibigyan mo na sila ng mga short reading selections, you measure their reading comprehension skill before you give them the short reading selections. Then after magpo-post test ka, after binigay mo na yung short reading selection, then you compare, no? Kung ano yung naging kung effective ba yung mga short reading selections doon sa pag-improve ng kanilang reading comprehension. So hindi yung feel eerie, no? Oo. So, I hope I answered your question, no? Sige. Going back, so this is an example of a published action research. So the title is The Effects of Reciprocal Teaching. Now take note that you should also be able to formulate the action research title properly. No? So what is a correct action research? The correct action research title should include what is the intervention. So anong intervention dito? Reciprocal teaching. Okay, the effect of reciprocal teaching. So klaro yan, reciprocal teaching is the intervention. Effect yan sa ano? Sa reading comprehension. In what? In the virtual middle school English classroom. So ang classroom dito hindi face-to-face, virtual, no? Online, no? So sino-sino yung mga respondents dito, no? Middle school students, no? Kasi ang setting nito is US, no? Okay. So as what you can observe, the title of the action research is very clear, no? Nakalagay diyan ano yung intervention, and then ano yung mini-measure, at sino yung participants or respondents. No? So given this title, ito yung niya, yung problem niya, yung research problem. Beginning in middle school, students receive direct literacy instruction and support if it's still needed. Additionally, at this point, students have shifted from learning to read to reading to learn. Di ba? Kung middle school na high school, reading to learn ka na, hindi ka na learning to read. No? Kasi ang learning to read sa yan? Sa primary. No? Many secondary students read several years below their grade level. Meaning, ang reading level nila is way below the secondary students' reading level, which prohibits them from succeeding in courses, college, and careers. And that if you provide an additional course or pull out services for all of these students, it's unrealistic. Meaning, kung mag-enroll sila sa mga tutorial programs, it could be expensive on their part, no? So that's why in this day, in-explore nila ano ang maging effect ng reciprocal teaching. Okay. So, ano yung purpose ng study nila? To find and implement an effective system to provide more support for students reading within the general education classroom. Kasi yung virtual middle school English classroom, actually, Gen Ed classroom siya. So this is the purpose. And take note that the research purpose is stated in one sentence only. So later in the workshop, because you are going to formulate your research purpose, then it should just be one sentence. The purpose of the study is to blah, blah, blah. Explore, examine, determine the effectiveness of an intervention. Sir, action research is only for teachers. Pwede rin si school head. Of course, pwede rin. Pwede collaboration ng teacher at ng school head. Pwede yun, Esteban. So, research purpose, one sentence only. Now, in terms of research questions, these are examples of research questions. Although hindi to related doon sa use of reciprocal teaching, but this is about the use of these are different. Hindi pala ito lahat about one particular title. Number one is, what is the impact of math manipulatives on second grade students' achievement of subtraction skills? Second grade meaning grade 2. No? Math manipulatives, yung bang may abacus ka, 5 minus 2. So yun yung math manipulatives. They use certain objects to show how they arrive at such a product, no? Some difference kasi subtraction, no? Or how effective has the peer tutoring program in honors English been? How has it been effective on improving student essays? No. So ang problem doon sa quality ng student essays. Dito sa number 1, anong problem dito? Low achievement in subtraction, meaning hindi nila alam mag-subtract, no? Kaya yung intervention na inintroduce is the use of manipulatives or certain objects that the learner has to touch. Then what is the effect of self-selection of books on increasing students' interest in reading? Self-selection of books, meaning the readers themselves select their own books, select the books that they will read, and they are not books prescribed by the parents or prescribed by the teachers. So what is the effect? You see, it's more of the use of the words impact or effect. Or you could state it this way: how has math manipulatives impacted students' achievement of subtraction skills? These questions can or may be rephrased, but the idea is or should be there. So this is in relation to yung reciprocal teaching kanina na title. How well does the implementation of reciprocal teaching interventions work for improving reading comprehension in the virtual middle school general education English language arts classroom? So anong classroom? Meaning English classroom. Virtual. So what's the intervention here? Reciprocal teaching. Well, if you want to know more about reciprocal teaching, then just do some additional literature search. Now, here are some methodologies in action research. Of course, usually we have the traditional quantitative data, academic achievement data, non-academic data, performance data, etc. But we can also use photo voice. Well, I have mentioned about interviews, focus groups, and observations. So you can actually, aside from the quantitative data that you want to measure, you can embed it with qualitative data coming from interviews, from focus groups. For example, the use of math manipulatives. So you did a quantitative data analysis. So pagkita mo, oy, nagmaro pa yan nira subtraction skills, naka-perfect na hirahan subtraction. But that's the quantitative aspect of it. Meron din siyang qualitative aspect. Like, you may ask the pupils, how do you feel when you manipulated the object? How did it help you perform subtraction? Did you find it easy to manipulate? Or did it really help you learn subtraction skills faster and better? So you can actually supplement the quantitative data with qualitative data coming from interviews, focus groups, or even observations. Like observations, pagkatapos nilang mag-manipulate ng object at nakakuha sila ng tamang answer, ano yung na-observe mo? Bata, ngumiti, or naging motivated siya, lumukso siya dahil sa tuwa, no? So you can actually include them as part of the findings. Okay. Now, when it comes to methodology, meaning how you collect the data, you should ask yourself these questions. Why am I collecting this data? What exactly am I collecting? Where am I going to collect it, and how, for how long? Who is going to collect it? How will the data be collected, analyzed, and findings shared? Kaya nga, how will the data be collected? You have the data gathering procedure. Analyzed and findings shared, you have data analysis. And of course, you have action plan, where you will detail how you intend to share the findings. Well, action research during COVID-19 pandemic, I'm sure in some other districts and divisions, many teachers have done action research even during pandemic time. But what has happened to action research during this pandemic? We digitize our research instruments. Kaya yung iba, inano na siya, Google form. That's digitization. And then data collection is done virtually or remotely. And in some instances, we use secondary data. Well, you know this already, there was a shift from traditional to digital-based methodological choices. So nagkaroon na ng synchronous and asynchronous data collection. And we have certain platforms to use for synchronous data collection, such as Zoom, which we are using now. Okay, the Google Meet, WebEx, Microsoft Teams, Jitsi. Okay. For asynchronous data collection, of course, we have the most popular, commonly used, the Google Form. Aside from Google Form, we also have SurveyMonkey, SoGo Survey, Microsoft Forms, etc. Well, these are some problems which could be areas for action research. Spelling errors, that's one major area of concern, or problem of handwriting, like hindi nila alam mag-cursive, they have very bad handwriting or penmanship. Problem of poor attendance, punctuality, and absenteeism. Although in this pandemic time, hindi siya Pero sa punctuality, pwede doon sa punctuality of the submission of LAS. Problem of school administration and organization. Problem of delinquency, cheating. Lack of self-confidence in communicating. Itong problem of cheating, pwede ito ma-detect doon sa Turnitin, yung plagiarism checker. So on the assumption that the teacher has a Turnitin account, he may run the papers of the students in Turnitin. Pero kasi yung sinasubmit ng students is hard copy. At hindi yan pwede ma-run sa Turnitin kung hard copy. Dapat soft copy siya. Kasi ina-upload sa Turnitin ang file to check whether there is a high amount of copy-paste or not. Then, of course, the problem of lack of self-confidence. Now, after lunch, you're going to we'll have a workshop on making an action research plan. Na? At of course, dating gawi, magpe-present tayo by province. No? So kung hindi kaya ng by province, well, whoever is, but we will call all the provinces, yung 6 provinces. Dapat meron kayong representative. Ha? So you have to indicate what is your topic or the working title, then your research questions, participants, then intervention, data collection. So paano mo i-collect ang data? Sa intervention, here, for example, I will teach strategies to enhance students' abilities to gain understanding from graphic displays during expository reading over a 3-week period. Strategies on understanding graphic displays. Yun yung intervention niya. And how long will it be implemented? In a 3-week period. So in the data collection, we have the details here na like the teacher will give students a 1-page article with graphic displays followed by a simple quiz. Then after a 3-week period of teaching strategies, I will give them an additional 1-page article and then follow another quiz over the contents and a post survey. The surveys will focus on questions such as whether they look at or use the visuals, whether they think it is important to understand the visuals, whether they feel confident in their ability to derive information from the visuals, and so forth. And that the quiz scores will be recorded and survey data tallied for analysis. So yun, that's how you are going to state it in this part, sa data collection. So here are examples of action research titles. One is the use of mathematics journals to improve students' understanding of fractions. 2019 yan, recent yan. Or the behavioral effects of outdoor learning on primary students. So, anong naging behavior ng mga elementary students when they did the learning outside the classroom? Here are additional action research titles. Effect of guided reading on students' academic achievement. Effect of outdoor activity on concentration. Effect of songs on vocabulary acquisition. So, kinig sila ng mga songs and then you measure kung na-improve ang kanilang vocabulary based on the words that are in the songs. Collaborative grouping, anong impact niya sa student engagement in araling panlipunan. Okay, so there are a lot of these action research titles. Effects of digital games on engagement. Yun, importante itong digital games. Kasi like for example, for high school teachers who conduct online classes, importante yung mga gamified na mga learning activities, dinadaan sa digital games. Anong effect niya sa engagement? Anong effect niya sa motivation ng student? We can measure motivation, we can measure engagement. So for some action research topics in this time of pandemic, comparative effectiveness ng synchronous and asynchronous, or ano pa ba ang iba? Well, needs assessment of teachers' ICT competence, case studies on implementation of DepEd learning modalities. Okay, pwede yun. Ha? Well, I'm sharing with you some resources. So if you click the Google Drive link, it will direct you to these materials. One is the APA style 6th edition. Kasi you have to know the proper referencing, no, of your action research paper. Then if you may want to read the book of abstracts in the International Action Research Action Learning Congress in 2021. So this is the book of abstracts. There are a lot of examples there of action researches, which of course contain certain interventions that the proponents or researchers have implemented. No? So by taking a look at the book of abstracts, you will have some ideas on what interventions to suggest to your teachers, to consider in order to solve certain classroom problems. And in terms of science education, you may want to browse the ARISE journal, Action Research and Innovation in Science Education. This is a journal, an international journal, and you can find here a lot of interventions applied in science education. Kasi like some of you are science majors here, perhaps you want to request your science teachers in your school, will you please explore the effectiveness of this intervention and find out how well would this work for our learners? You may find some of those interventions in this journal. So it's the ARISE journal. All right, so that's the end. Any PowerPoint. So this is how the action research plan looks like. So slide 1, what is the title of the study and your school division or province? Then slide 2, the problem. So you should be able to prove that the problem really exists. That's why you have to insert relevant data. So sa mga hindi nakakita sa PowerPoint file sa chat box, kindly take a screenshot, take a picture of the screen para take a picture of the screen so you will be guided on what to prepare and present later. Then research purpose or objective. Simply you say, this study aims to what? Determine the effect, the impact of blah, blah, blah. So that's slides 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Then slides 4, 5, 6, and 7, this is the continuation. So of course you have to enumerate specific questions, but you may just have 1 or 2 research questions. Take note that the specific question should answer the research purpose. So kung ang purpose mo is to determine the impact of math manipulatives on students' achievement in subtraction, what will be your questions? Maybe how do the students perform in subtraction before the use of math manipulatives? How do they perform after the use of math manipulatives? Then is there a difference in their test scores in subtraction? So those are specific research questions. Then of course you have to describe your target respondents or participants. So sino-sino sila? I mean, you don't need to, of course, tell me their real names. And just say na the target respondents are the non-numerates across grade levels in what school? Huh? Then, of course, in the intervention, you have to state the intervention and describe how you will implement the intervention. That's important. No? State the intervention. So, dapat alam mo ang intervention. So, kung hindi mo pa alam kung anong intervention na gagamitin, then you do an initial literature review. And now you know where to search for information. Because I have oriented you on the use of Google Scholar and ERIC. Huh? Then, of course, you may include the resources needed. Then in the data collection, give details on how you will collect or determine the effectiveness of the intervention. So, how will you collect the data? Just like yung example kanina, binigyan ng quiz, ilang item ang quiz, and so on. So those are details on data collection.
Like and subscribe to the L&D channel on YouTube using the link youtube.com/@learn2lead channel. For more information, visit our NAIAP Region 8 official Facebook page at facebook.com/NAIAPR08.